Hello and welcome to this week's Advanced Guide. Today we take a look at some team setups and strategies for the Temple of the Silent Storm. We'll be taking the perspective of the red team for this guide, just mirror image it across for the blue team. The Temple is a very roamer heavy map. There are lots of objectives to be completing and the central node can regularly run into difficulty and need a lot of support. This map consists of lots of paths and staircases across multiple elevations. The secondary objectives are meditations which are spread throughout the map. For more info on this you can check out our previous guide, there's a link in the description below. The basics however are that at specific times meditations spawn. These will give your team a score related boon for a short duration. 2 of these provide a 3-point bonus to each kill, meaning you can get 11 points per kill rather than the usual 5. Another one doubles the points each of your nodes awards for a short duration, and the last one gives you control over all 3 nodes. These meditations are important to victory, in particular the double points one, so making sure your team are in a good position to always gain control of them is a must. With that in mind, here's a basic team setup. First up, a bunker on the back and middle node is standard for most setups. This should be Guardians or Elementalists. Secondly, you have a DPS supporting the middle node, capping the kill point meditations when needed. Mid can take a lot of pressure at times, so having extra support there is important. You also don't want the enemy to be able to quickly outnumber your bunker, so a DPS capable of quickly taking down one enemy player can be really important. This role can be taken by a number of different professions, but someone with both single target and AoE potential can work great, a warrior for example. Lastly, 2 roamers to quickly neutralise the enemy node, support mid and back, and capture the other meditations. They should work as a team for the most part, outnumbering the enemy in 2v1 ganks, but be willing to split up if needed. This setup's pretty strong. It gives you a good defense as your backpoint defender is generally only going to have 1v1s and can call for help if they get outnumbered. The 2 roamers are capable of grabbing the meditations when they come up quite easily. The biggest weakness to this setup is that you're spread pretty thin and susceptible to ganks. You also struggle to put real pressure on the enemy's node and still keep good control of your node and the meditations all at the same time. High mobility roamers can help with this, but due to the design of the map it won't make a massive difference. Next up, I'll take you through my own preferred alternative to this. For this you have the same 2 bunkers, but make sure the backpoint defender has some mobility in their build. Ellies can work great in here with skills like Ride the Lightning. Next you have 3 roamers with good mobility. Thieves, warriors, perhaps even a ranger. They're able to push the enemy node more effectively and get a quick kill there and neutralise it quite regularly. They'll also be able to bring critical mass to the middle node and back node when needed. The Ellie on the near side node is also capable of using the back entrance to the temple to move into the centre of the map. This means it can support in the fight for the double points meditation, giving you some really strong numbers advantage here. This also allows you to have strong numbers at the 8-minute 30 mark when all the meditations spawn. The weakness here is that if the roamers get held up somewhere or get tunnel vision on pushing the enemy node against a very strong defence, the mid and back nodes can become susceptible to attack. However, with disciplined and organised players it can be very strong. You can maintain strong map control to pick up the meditations and a lot of kills and take real advantage of the bonus points. The pressure you should be applying on the enemy node should be just enough so they don't feel safe leaving it open. This next setup is all about bunkers. You have 2 bunkers on the mid and 1 on your back node. Another one is pushing the enemy node, and they need to bring some good knockbacks to allow them to neutralise it by knocking the enemy off. Hammer Guardians are really solid at this. The last player runs a fairly tanky build but with some mobility built in. There will also be one trying to get the double points meditation. The player pushing the enemy base will also assist in getting the double points meditation if they can and if they're in the right position. The last player will also assist the back node if needed. The players down at the gate can steal the meditations around it when they needed to simply stop the enemy from getting control of them, and should position and grab the meditation of tranquility to control all 3 nodes as soon as it comes up at the 8-minute 30 mark. This setup gives you some pretty good node control and puts good pressure on the enemy. It suffers in that if you lack any real killing power and the enemy decides to have a 3-man roaming team, you can be outmaneuvered and lose control of the far node and the meditations fairly quickly. I personally don't like this kind of setup. It's pretty gimmicky, and while it can work against an unorganised team, more experienced players running a roamer heavy mobile build will quickly outmaneuver you and bring you down. There are very few viable setups for the temple. The secondary objective requires so much mobility that high mobility builds are almost a must. Some teams will run a bunker build like the one I covered above, or try to do things like 2 bunkers on the altar, 2 on the mid and 1 on the back point, but because most teams go very roamer heavy into this game before they even see what the enemy are doing, you're going to get outnumbered and they're going to play the numbers game and basically bring you down quite hard. At this point it really comes down to the skills and abilities of the players to see whether you can defend against them. It isn't really something we can talk about in the show. If you have any good tactics and team setups, want to let us know in the comments. It would be great to hear some new ideas. Next week we'll be looking at some setups and strategies for Spirit Watch. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all soon.